According to Teaching Old Dogs New Tricks, The Luxury of Digital Abundance from the Journal of Adolescent and Adult Literacy, all teachers, digital immigrants and digital natives alike, will be expected to tackle and embrace the general understanding of technology, coupled with the capability to use, manage, and assess the technologies that are most relevant in one's life. If digital immigrants are to succeed in today's job market, it will be necessary for them to learn to stay current on technological trends. Therefore, it will be important for teachers to develop strategies designed specifically to help ease the transition of digital migration. During the research process, I came across three major topics that would come to influence my goal of designing a more efficient resource for digital immigrants. One of the major struggles digital immigrants face is the shift of linear to nonlinear forms of information. For example, imagine linear information as a normal picture book. You open it from the cover and read it from left to right, one page at a time. However, new technologies are more like the idea of a pick-your-own-adventure book, where you jump around to different sections depending on the choices you make. This is an important concept to consider. Web 2.0 tools were also an important part of my research. Web 2.0 tools are useful because they focus on user import and allow for students to work at their own pace. Also, the concept of social capital gained through the skill of networking was important for my project. Social capital is the ability to harness resources held by other students and increase the flow of information in a network. In other words, it is the ability for students to continue to teach not only themselves, but each other as well, even after my course is completed. In order to design my research project, I used an ADDIE model to structure my research. There were several factors I had to consider before constructing my research cycles. As a part of the adult education program of my school, my program was broken up into 10 courses. Another important factor to consider was the very limited resources provided to my school, since the ultimate goal of this project was to discover what was necessary to create a successful online resource for digital immigrants. Several skills would need to be developed. The first course would be an introduction to the class, where the students would become acquainted with the materials, and together we would register for Gmail accounts that would later be used for the class. These emails would also be used to keep in contact with the students. The second and third courses would be dedicated to learning basic word processing and computer navigation and organization. Courses 4 and 5 would be used for learning data manipulation and formatting in a spreadsheet program. These courses would also give a very brief introduction to computer science so that students had a basic understanding of how a computer thinks. Courses 6 and 7 would focus on interacting with multimedia in a presentation program. In these lessons, we would also cover file organization and how to save data. In Course 8, we return to the Gmail accounts we created in the first course. In this course, we give a complete rundown of how email works and its many beneficial uses. In Courses 9 and 10, we spend time exploring the internet and learning the basics of web browsing. We also visit many popular sites, such as Facebook and Google, to give hands-on practice. In the final course, the students are also given the URL to the class's webpage and encouraged to share contact info with their fellow classmates. When it came time to develop the materials for the research, I drew upon many different skills and resources I have gained from the EMDT program at Full Sail University. Using Google Forms, I created an intro-exit survey to collect data from each of the students to evaluate the effectiveness of the materials presented in class. In this survey, I also asked the students to indicate where they primarily received their information. In my first cycle of research, I designed the materials to present the data in as many forms as possible, to see if any one of Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences was more effective. I also incorporated Web 2.0 tools such as Google Docs and Google Sites using the principles of learning management systems and digital media and educational applications to create a clean and flowing design. From my first cycle of research, I learned that less is more. The students inferred that they felt overwhelmed at times by the many forms of media being presented to them. However, they also stated that the ability to communicate with not only me but also each other greatly helped them to learn. From the intro survey, I also learned that many of the students primarily received their information from newspapers and/or television, and none of them were using the internet. By the end of the course, at least 2 of the 6 indicated they were now actively using the internet to receive information. From my research, I have concluded the following. In order to design learning resources for digital immigrants, minimalism, or the design principle of using just the fundamentals, seems to be the most effective. However, it can also be said that through the sharing of social capital, the adversity of complicated multimedia can be overcome. These outcomes directly correlate with my research. A concept that my project built upon is the importance of cognitive development while learning these skills. Many of the resources currently available for digital immigrants rely heavily on linear forms of information. Technology is constantly evolving, so it is more practical to learn the skills to keep track of new technologies than to take a class or read a book every time something new emerges. I believe this research has a lot of practical applications, not only in an educational setting, but in the business world as well. The principles from this research can be applied to games, tutorials, trainings, smartphone applications, websites, marketing campaigns, social media, and much more.